we have been talking about this report for a long time now. It's taken the best part of 5 months. Our understanding is it was on Rishi Sunak's desk at 11 o'clock yesterday morning. What's taking so long?
Well, that is the question, isn't it? And I think one part of this is we were just listening to Emily Thornberry chat there, and she says, this is simple, this is clear cut. But actually, I think this length of time is showing that it isn't simple. And in fact, what we might be wading into here is a lot of grey areas around it, because the report itself is not coming to a conclusion of, stating Dominic Raab is a bully or he is not a bully. Instead, it's giving the evidence to Rishi Sunak for him to then come to that conclusion on his own. Now, we know from previous experience that Rishi Sunak can make swift decisions when he wants to. Nadeem Zahawi was sacked within a matter of hours after the investigation into his tax affairs. But the situation is different with Dominic Raab. Dominic Raab and Rishi Sunak have this sort of bond of loyalty that was first formed last summer when he launched his leadership campaign for him. And then more recently, if we look at more recent political situations, Rishi Sunak needs Dominic Raab, particularly in this battle to stop the boats and get the legislation through on stopping the boats. And he needs this loyal ally by his side. So it hasn't been as clear cut for him from a personal standpoint either. So Rishi Sunak's found himself in this very tricky situation. And I think, simply it is not as clear cut as people are thinking at first it might be.
Yeah, but it can't be that difficult, Lettice, can it? I mean, look, the Telegraph this morning saying Raab will fight to the death to keep his job, despite the fact he's said in I don't know how many interviews, if I'm found to have bullied anyone, I will quit. I mean, it's just turning into a mess where there's a pretty easy answer to this.
Well, it is turning into a mess. And the longer that they hold out for this, the more speculation that we'll see, the more diverse opinions that we'll see on the matter. But it also shows that what we can infer from this, and like you say, Dominic Raab said on Sky News that if he was found to have been in breach of the ministerial code, then he would resign. But we've seen that Rishi Sunak has brought people back from the brink, as he did with Suella Braverman when her messages were leaked as well. So he can go both ways on this. And he doesn't necessarily want to upset the Conservative Party at this point. We're almost at local elections. If he loses Dominic Raab in this situation, that will be the third cabinet minister. He will be, the second prime minister to have lost 3 cabinet ministers in 6 months. Which isn't looking good for his promise of having a accountable and integrity-driven government at this stage. And also the fact that the Conservatives at the moment, they're on a united front. And to lose Dominic Raab, he's very long-standing. He's been a very popular politician, maybe not with civil servants, but definitely within his party.
Hold on, Lettice. Hold on. You said if he goes, it doesn't look good for having an accountable government at this stage. But it would be good, wouldn't it? I mean, that is saying you are accountable. It looks terrible if he stays. That's what looks bad. It looks like a whitewash.
Well, that all depends on what this report is saying at the moment. And of course, we have not seen the findings of this report. We've only seen the sort of speculation so far on what it says. And as you've just mentioned, the government has promised they will be transparent and they will be releasing the findings of this report. So that, again, is opening them up to everyone's personal opinion on this.
It landed on the PM's desk. It landed on the PM's desk at 11:30 yesterday morning. If it cleared him, he would have found out by 25 to 12.
Well, again, it wasn't coming to a certain conclusion. This report is meant to be very lengthy. It's got 8 complaints in it. It spans across 3 different government departments. But there's also this national debate that we're having about what is appropriate workplace conduct, what is deemed harassment, and what is simply seen as firm management. And a lot of the critics of this are saying that if Rishi Sunak here sets a precedent that, if civil servants can begin making complaints about their minister of their department and it will get them fired, it's setting a precedent that some might then begin to abuse this and allow it to discredit ministers in the future. And we can't allow our ministers to become afraid of demanding high levels of work ethic. When Priti Patel was undergoing her bullying report, there was a section within that essentially said that working for a ministerial department, working within government is different from working in other jobs and workplaces. There is a certain amount of high pressure, and sometimes this can come across as whether that's that firm management or harassment. We're going to have to wait and see what this report says at the end of the day, but hopefully we will be seeing that report ourselves early next week.
Lettice, do you think there could be a theory here that Rishi Sunak is trying to stall things to force Dominic Raab's hand, to force him to resign if he has been found to be a bully, and therefore he doesn't need to make the difficult decision?
Well, Dominic Raab, as we know, has already seen the report. And he said on Sky, as we just discussed, that if he thought from the report that he was found to be essentially guilty in this case, he would resign. So what we've seen so far is he's read the report, and we can infer that he clearly does not see himself to be guilty in this situation. So if that's the sort of easy way out that Rishi Sunak's looking for, I don't think he's going to find it there. Owing to the new ministerial code, though, Rishi Sunak can also, there are other routes other than simply sacking him at this point. He can do a public apology. He can go without his ministerial pay for a certain amount of time. So I'm sure that these are all other areas that Rishi Sunak will be looking into as well as potential options.